The first and the last commandments. Have you ever pondered the possibility that the first and the last of the 10 Commandments are virtually the same and function as a kind of enclosure or bracketing that makes the other 8 commandments in the middle possible? The first commandment is, "You shall have no other gods before me," Exodus 20, verse 3. Before me in what sense? Verse 5 makes it plain. I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. In other words, you, Israel, are my wife. If your heart goes after another god, it's like a wife getting into bed with another man. I get angry in my holy jealousy. Your heart, your supreme loyalty, your love, your affection, your devotion, your enjoyment belong supremely to me. So when God says, "You shall have no other gods before me," he means, you shall always have me as supreme in your affections. You shall delight in me more than any suitor that comes along. Nothing shall appeal to you more than I do. Embrace me as your supreme treasure and be content in me. That's the first commandment. Then the last of the 10 commandments is, "You shall not covet," verse 17. The word for covet in Hebrew means simply desire. So the question in defining what covet means is the question, when does desire for something, like money or what money can buy, become bad desire? When does legitimate desire become covetousness? My suggestion is this. Put the last commandment together with the first and you get your answer. The first commandment is, "No gods before me. Nothing in your heart should compete with me. Desire me so fully that when you have me, you are content." And then the 10th commandment is, "Don't covet. Don't have any illegitimate desires. That is, don't desire anything in a way that would undermine your contentment in God." So covetousness, or wrong desire, is desiring anything in such a way that you lose your contentment in God. Paul's strongest warning about the dangers of money. Let's test this with Paul's strongest words about money and how money relates to contentment. In 1 Timothy 6, verses 5 through 10, Paul starts with a description of people very much like the people we saw in Romans 1, only now the issue in focus is the disordered craving for money, not the disordered craving for sex. He speaks of people who are depraved in mind and deprived of the truth, imagining that godliness is a means of gain. But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. It is clear that money is dangerous. I know it's not the money itself that destroys the soul, it's the craving, the desiring. As the 19th century Scottish minister George MacDonald said, "It is not the rich man only who is under the dominion of things. They too are slaves who, having no money, are unhappy for the lack of it." Nevertheless, Jesus did say, "Only with difficulty will a rich person enter the kingdom of heaven," Matthew 19, verse 23. He didn't just say it is hard for any person who loves money to get into heaven, but for any person who is rich. He said, in effect, that money itself is dangerous, not evil, just dangerous, because of how quickly and easily we can be deceived by it. Jesus says, "The deceitfulness of riches choke the word," Matthew 13, verse 22. Money is dangerous because it has such a power to deceive. It's a good liar. Handling money is like handling a live wire that can electrocute you. That's the gist of Paul's words to Timothy. Those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evils. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. 1 Timothy 5, verses 9 and 10. That is very strong language. Temptation, snare, many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction, pierced themselves with many pangs. Surely Paul means for us to be struck with a profound caution.